Good afternoon, I'm Ann Gallagher. I'm thrilled to be here to see friends, old friends, new friends, etc. I just love these groups. And I want to particularly thank Nat, Jonathan, David, and right now, Per Casey, because he just fixed some technical problems that... Anyway, I told someone in Chicago about the presentation I was going to do today, and I kind of went through, I said I'm going to talk about three things I'm passionate about, and three things that are important to selling your idea and being an effective communicator. And she looked at me and said, "Oh, crap, you're going to talk about life, aren't you?" And I said, yeah, I am. Because being an effective communicator isn't here, it's here. And in our law firms, we work very hard to appear just as smart as all the other lawyers. And I'm a lawyer by training. I still try hard. We work hard because we want to be their equal. We want to show them our value. But too often we show them the value here and not the value here. So today I'm going to share with you, as many others have done, the distillation of a 90-minute presentation on communications, facilitation, what else? Yeah, and communication. I'm going to distill it down because when Nat gave me the challenge to put this into 20 minutes, I thought, what is really the most important thing of any of the training I've done in communications? And I've done a lot for law firms, but more for other companies, media, presentation, facilitation, and with Mary, who's sitting in the audience. What are the most important things? The first thing is to have a message in your communication, which we think is important, but I want to show you a clip, an evergreen. Some people have seen this before, and I want you to look at this short media clip and think, what is Bob's message in this clip? Per?
Good morning, Dr. Hartley. Thank you for coming. I hope it's not too early for you.
No, I had to get up to be on television.
Well, I'm glad you relaxed. I'm a little nervous myself. I mean, I've never interviewed a psychologist.
Well, don't worry about it. We're ordinary men, one leg at a time.
Well, if I start to ramble a little, or if I get into an area I'm not conversant in, you'll help me out, won't you?
Don't worry about it. If you get in trouble, just turn it over to me and I'll wing it.
10 seconds, Ruth.
Thanks, Augie.
You'll be fine.
Here goes.
3, 2, you're on.
Good morning. It's 7 o'clock, and I'm Ruth Corley. My first guest is psychologist Dr. Robert Hartley. It's been said that today's psychologist is nothing more than a con man, a snake oil salesman, flim-flamming innocent people, peddling cures for everything from nail biting to a lousy love life. And I agree. We'll ask Dr. Hartley to defend himself after this message.
Was that on the air?
Oh, that's just what we call a grabber. It keeps the audiences from tuning out.
10 seconds, Ruth.
Thanks, Augie.
We won't be doing any more grabbing, will we?
No. From now on, we'll just talk.
3, 2, you're on.
Dr. Hartley, according to a recently published survey, the average fee for a private session with a psychologist is $40.
That's about right.
Right? I don't think it's right. What other practitioner gets $40 an hour?
My plumber.
Plumbers guarantee their work, do you?
See, I don't understand why all of a sudden you...
I asked you if you guaranteed your work.
Well, I can't guarantee that each and every person that walks through the door is going to be cured,
You mean you ask $40 an hour and you guarantee nothing?
I validate.
Is that your answer?
Could I have a word with you?
Chicago is waiting for your answer.
Well, Chicago. Everyone who comes in doesn't pay $40 an hour.
Do you ever cure anybody?
Well, I wouldn't say cure.
So your answer is no.
No. My answer is not no. I get results. Many of my patients solve their problems and go on to become successful.
Successful at what?
Professional athletes, clergymen. Some go on to head large corporations. One of my patients is an elected official.
A what?
Nothing.
Did you say an elected official?
I might have, I forget.
Who is he?
Well, I can't divulge his identity.
Why? There is a deranged man out there in a position of power.
He isn't deranged anymore.
But he was when he came to see you, and you said yourself that you do not give guarantees. After this message, we will meet our choice for Woman of the Year, Sister Mary Catherine.
Okay, we're in a commercial.
Thanks, Augie.
And thank you, Dr. Hartley. You were terrific. I mean, I wish we had more time.
We had plenty.
Well, I really enjoyed it.
Well, you would have enjoyed Pearl Harbor.
So Bob's message, obviously, is that he didn't have one. Unfortunate. Sometimes when I've shown this video, people get mad at the questioner and say, well, she sandbagged him. That's what these people do. This happens to me all the time. But in showing this video again and again, the point is really, if you don't have a message and haven't done your preparation, you lose. He also didn't know the rules of the game. Another really important thing if you're going to be an effective presenter. If you want to have a message, and if you have an IQ between 5 and 15, yep, 5 minutes, 5 steps to message development. Who's the audience? Who's your primary audience? Because we can't be all things to all people. What do they know? What are their perceptions? What do we want them to know? And what is our net impression going to be? Say I'm writing a memo in a law firm, and I did it last week. My primary audience was one particular partner who nitpicks all the time, even though this memo was sent to a variety of people. So the variety of people were my audience. The primary audience was this mean old partner, because I knew he would nitpick. He would make my life annoying, and I didn't want that. So what did I do? I looked at what his perceptions are. He thinks marketing people, yeah, a little here, a little there. So it had to be perfect, letter perfect. What do I want them to know? I wanted him to know we could be perfect. And so the email got sent out, the memo got sent out. Later that day, he sent me a note, thank you. I won. It can be as simple as that. It helps to brainstorm with somebody else. Telling a story is probably one of the more important parts to being a great communicator. So one day I was dispatched to Peoria, Illinois. Have you ever been there? Don't bother. I was sent to shoot a video of a food facility. I had to interview reporter-like 15 people. There was no set idea of how the video would come out. There wasn't a shot list, anything. It was just a mess. It was a mess. My head was going crazy. I thought, what am I going to do? And then the woman said, hey, what about George? Maybe you'd like to talk to George. I said, well, who's George? She said, George is a guy who invented this stuff called oat trim, a fat substitute that they use in healthy choice meals. And he's about 90 years old. And I said, let's go see George. Maybe George can pull us out of this mess. All day long, all the scientists gave bullet points and big presentations, and they were terrible, absolutely terrible. And then we came to George, who told a story and knew how to do this, connect here, because his wife had a heart attack at exactly the same time he was developing oat trim. So he had a very special reason to develop a fat substitute. He wanted to save his wife's life. And he told the story, and I said to him, how's she doing? Because I didn't know if she was still alive. He said, oh, she's doing great. She lost 100 pounds. 100 pounds. She's down to 100 pounds. And he said, me, I'm back to my college fighting weight. All because I did oat trim. And you know what? What I do every day makes a difference. I had my story. This led the video. Why? Because it connected with everybody. And it showed his passion for what he was doing, and he didn't seem hokey or silly or goofy in any way. I'd like you to see the clip.
My wife suffered a major heart attack. So this was a very compelling reason to work on these materials, but it so happened, serendipitous, that I had this in the laboratory at the time my wife had this. The doctor said to my wife, "You must lose some weight." So this was a moving factor to consider replacing fat, because obesity, as you know, most people know, is a combination of eating too many calories, whether it comes from fat or sugars or whatever. Basically, it's too many fats. So the doctor's recommending cutting back on fat. And of course, the Otrim came along, which is a fat replacer. Well, she's still alive and doing very well. And she lost 170 pounds down to 100 pounds. So the heart doctor thinks she is fantastic, and she's been going to him for 20 years. And so for me, I also went along with this. So I used to be 175 pounds, so I lost it down to college weight now. So I maintain that weight. So you see, I believe in what I do.
Believing in what we do. My mother lay dying. It was a warm August day. And she said to me, "There are two things I need you to do for me when I die." She had hours to go. I said, "What is it?" "Anything." She said, "First of all, you got to stop fighting with your sisters." I said, "No, Mom, I can't. Those bitches have picked on me for years and years. Anything but that." She said, "No, it doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve you any longer. Promise me." I said, "I promise, Mom. I promise." I said, "What's the second thing?" She said, "Use your talents." I said, "Oh, that's easy." See, I was this kind of lawyer person, and then I got out of it into law firm marketing, and I've gone all creative, and I'm using them. And my mother died. And about a year later, I was in a church giving a reading. And it was as if I looked out to the audience as I'm doing right now, and time stopped. And I felt a whisper in my ear, "Use your voice. Use your talents." My life changed at that moment. And I thought, how am I going to do that? You see, when I was a kid, I was in a terrible accident. I climbed up a stove, and I burned my leg. And as the story goes, I couldn't use my voice. I couldn't call out for help. I stood there burning. And obviously, I've done pretty well. Everything's fine. But I couldn't call out for her. I couldn't use my voice. How would my life have changed if I just yelled for help? But for whatever reason, I couldn't. And right then and there, I thought, maybe I have a talent for using my voice. Maybe I can help others use theirs. And using your voice is not always about being the biggest or the best talker. Sometimes it's about being quiet. And so I wondered, what did I learn? Well, and what did I do? Within a year, and it's a longer story, I became a voiceover artist. I'm represented by agents. I'm in IMDb. I've done hundreds of voiceovers. It's a long part of the story. But I thought, I can use my voice in a way I never thought possible. Maybe I have a talent I didn't realize I had. And in training, we use a continuum. We try to simplify everything. Good, better, best. Good is having a message. Better is telling a story. Best is using your talents. So you may say, "Oh, for God's sakes, I don't know if I'm going to have that spiritual experience you had. How do I do it? How do I do it?" And I talked to my friend Michael Freeborn about it. And he said, "Well, you got to do a gift inventory. You got to look at what your talents are. You got to look deep. And sometimes you don't know, just as I didn't, what your real talents are. And so to do the gift inventory, what you do is you write down what you think your talents are. But then you go to someone you love or you trust, and you say, "What are my talents? What are my skills?" And their responses may amaze you. And so I did a training at the American Bar Association about a week or so ago. It was a small group of people. I trained them for a long time. And we did a gift inventory. only one person out of that group got it right. Everybody cried. And they cried because others saw in them something that they couldn't see in themselves. And that was a beautiful thing. And so, good, better, best. Have a message, tell a story. Mostly, use your talents. That is the key, the 3 keys to being a great communicator. Thank you.